for me. So here we go. Little intro, and then we'll get to Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations, and we got clips. So here we go.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Into the Night on the Late Late Horror Show. I am Dino, as always, and hello, everybody in the chat. Hey, Dave Plouffe, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you. Ocean, what's going on? Good to see you. Edward Stewart, how are you, my friend? Connie Clary, Kathy, definitely good to see each and every one of you. Black Roses, Jinja, what's going on? Good to see ya. Uh, and boy, I guess it's going to take a bit for people to come rolling in tonight. But yes, we got clips. We got Miranda. We got Ghost Biker Explorations. So, and I'm throwing in a clip from last week. I'll surprise you at the end, but I think you guys probably might know who were here last time. What I'm going to play because man, it's one of the best clips I've seen in a long time. Anyways, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, the bell notification, all that good stuff. Check out the description below to go and see Miranda's website. The link is there. And also the YouTube channel, which she's got 5 seasons up, I know for sure. I just checked. I don't think season 6 is up yet, but season 6 is coming up. And listen, it's kind of like what you see on Travel Channel. And listen, it is. I'm getting sick of all those shows. But anyways, she puts on a show just like these channels do, like Travel Channel, very well edited, lots of good stuff, lots of good locations. Just very interesting show that she does there. And let's see, Bubba, what's going on? So yeah, hit the links, you guys. Hit the links. Make sure you subscribe. And Becca Tutal, what's going on? New avatar, I see. It's nice to be off work. Going to check out your paranormal show. Becca, first time here? Anyways, let me bring Miranda over here. I'm not going to make her wait too long. Hey, Miranda, what's going on?
Hey, Dino. Hey, everyone in the chat room. Thank you all for having me back.
Heck yeah. Had to have you back, man. You had some good stuff and very well spoken. And yeah, good stuff, Miranda. And the whole thing you got going on here is a really cool thing in my eyes. We talked about this before. You know, not a whole lot of shows are really doing it for me lately. You might agree. Maybe there's something out there I've missed. I don't know when it comes to new shows. But what you're doing is very cool, and you're putting them on like a season. And they're about roughly a half-hour show, 25 minutes, something like that. And yeah, they're just very well done. Props to you. I'd give you a little clap there.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot, especially coming from you, someone who has watched a lot of different shows and stuff that are out there. And it's something that I definitely take a lot of pride in and really put a lot of thought into how I wanted to put the shows together whenever I did my branding and whenever I decided to do the season. I
Yeah.
wanted to really put it out like a season. And then I spend a lot of time on the historical side of things. And since I'm a solo investigator, I spend a lot of time going through all of my evidence. I have a lot of static cameras, and then, of course, the cameras that are there that are following me around. So I like to be able to, and I apologize for that sound. I have a cat that just decided to come in and start shredding things.
It's all
Um,
right.
and so, anyways, I definitely have to take a lot of time to go back, review audio, review video, and then the episodes are self produced. So,
Yep.
So I take a lot of pride in that and appreciate you noticing. I still try to do a lot of lives when I can,
Right.
because I love being able to include the people who watch and let them be my eyes and ears and really kind of go in and spend an hour or so doing a live investigation. But I absolutely love being able to put the episodes together and not only share the paranormal, but also share the historical story that goes along with the location that I'm at.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. But yeah, I mean, on the YouTube channel itself, I mean, yeah, you got to have more. YouTube wants more content, more content. Let's bring out more stuff. But the interviews are interesting too. You have on various guests at on different subject matters.
Mhm.
So yeah, and listen, if they like you, they're going to like you talking with your guests. So that's just the way it goes. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to do a variety. I ended up creating the Ghost Biker Garage show after the season because I did need to put out more content. It also gave me the opportunity to talk about the episodes and really introduce the people who watch my show to other content creators. So that was a good incentive, but I try to do actual live investigations as well when I can. I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to do more of those here in 2023. Actually just did one, 3 weeks ago there at the historic Scott County Jail and had a lot of
yeah.
activity just during that live.
Oh yeah, listen, that's the one thing I keep. And hello, Casper McDonald, the vagrancy horror. What's going on? I see your question already. You got a question, so we'll get to it. Edward Stewart, good to see everybody tonight. Um, but yeah, that's the one thing I really try looking for a lot on YouTube, and I guess Facebook's a place that a lot of paranormal groups end up doing lives on. But nowadays, you can kind of do Facebook and YouTube at the same time. You know that.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
but live investigations—that's my thing. I'd
Mhm,
love to see more of that.
mhm,
Uh, Listen, I know it's harder, and you know the whole point to your seasons are going back, getting the evidence, producing it, editing it,
mhm.
making it condensed so people aren't sitting there. But listen, I like to sit there, even if there's like a 40-minute, like you guys are just sitting there whispering and going, did you? Yeah. I mean, even though nothing's happening, it's like you're there. You're like
Yeah, yeah,
part of it.
absolutely. And actually one of the things that I do, especially when it comes to live investigations, I used to do live investigations everywhere I went. And when I started putting the season out, I thought,
Mhm.
well, I'm going to kind of keep it a little more secret, low key whenever I go and then release it as an episode. But in this past season, in season 5, I actually so one of the things that I do when I do a live investigation, we've got everyone watching, we're in the moment. They're, kind of confirming if we're hearing and seeing things. I actually go back and review those lives and then I will re-release them with
Mhm.
the evidence highlighted in it. And then there's been times like this past season where I actually included some of those live clips in with the actual episodes. So it just creates a more richer experience when you
Oh
can
yeah.
actually do both, do an episode and also do that. So hopefully this year I'm going to try to do more of those cuz I've had more people asking cuz it's amazing when you're sitting there watching someone in this location. And again, I'm usually a solo investigator. So we're all experiencing this together and you don't really know what's going to happen whenever you're walking down this long hall and then the people watching don't know either, so it's I don't know, it just creates a really cool experience to be able to all be there together
Yeah.
and do that live.
No, 100%. Not in Denver, the vagrancy, a little farther away than that, but investigating live. Yeah, I wish there were more investigative teams in the Northeast Ohio area, but there just aren't. I don't know why that is, but uh, let's get to who you are. Listen, you got a lot of cool things happening in your life, business wise and just lifestyle. Listen, you're taking this whole paranormal thing and investigation and again, the historical side of things here, because
Mhm.
like you've said, and you're incorporating it into your life. You're living it, and you're going to continue to live it, I would guess, with everything you're doing. And I'm not going to say anything or spoil anything. So tell us a little bit about what is going on with Miranda. What do you own? What the future looks like for what you're doing. Let everybody know who you are, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been investigating the paranormal for just a little under 15 years now. And to be able to kind of see how things have progressed from taking this hobby that I was doing when I was investigating with a team to creating ghost biker explorations, which really started to consume my life at that point because, anytime that I wasn't at my normal day job, I was working on Ghost Biker episodes, editing or planning or researching for an investigation. Through Ghost Biker, I was able to meet my best friend, Dr. Christy Sumner from Soul Sisters Paranormal, and
Great.
we formed absolutely a phenomenal person. We ended up forming the company History Highways and Haunts LLC, and through that, we approached the town of Huntsville and we ended up opening the historic Scott County Jail. And so we co own the museum there. It's a true crime museum as well as a paranormal research center. So we both have our respective teams, Ghost Biker Explorations and Soul Sisters, headquartered there in the jail. And, to be able to, I ended up leaving my normal day job. And so that is my day job now. So
Good for
to be
you.
able yeah, so to be able to take, the show of Ghost Biker and really meet some amazing people and to be able to go in and this be my full-time job, has really just been an amazing experience. And so, I'm actually in the process of getting ready to move up there close to the location. We've been open for about a year and 4 months now and working on some expansion opportunities. So, if you kind of want to know some of these big announcements, check out the historic Scott County Jail Facebook page and follow along there, and we'll be able to let you know about some really cool things that are going on because we'll be making some big announcements about that over the next week or two. So yeah, and remodeling a 120-year-old farmhouse currently. So to
Well, we're
like
going
I
to
said, a
touch on
lot going
that.
on.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that too. I'm not sure. I didn't ask her if anything's going on there, but she's technically refurbishing.
Yeah.
You said a 120-year-old farmhouse,
Mhm.
and you're going to be living there, and it's closer
Yes.
to work, and that's why I'm saying. I said you're encompassing everything dealing with the paranormal, so it's becoming, even though it has been a part of your life, even
Mhm.
more so. And I'd be interested to see like where this all goes. But anyways, let me say hi to Matt. Maddox is here. CM is here. If you guys got any questions, definitely feel free to ask. We got clips I'm going to show in a little bit and revolve the show around that for a little while. But I would love to talk about true crime towards the end after we get through
Mhm.
these clips, because man, I love true crime too. So we will definitely talk about that. But right away, Casper McDonald says, and I don't want to dismiss any questions. Might be a silly question, but are some people more prone to experiencing paranormal phenomena? Well, I'll let her. Yeah, go ahead, Miranda.
Um, yeah, I mean, it that seems to be the case. I think we all experience a lot more than what we realize. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the time we're just so busy and maybe we truly don't listen or pay attention, but things are always happening all around us. At least if it's not paranormal, at least strange or possibly unexplainable activity. I just think some people, yes, do tend to be more open to it. Different people do have different abilities. Like you have some people that do hear things or see things, clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairescent. Um, you know, there are people who do experience more, but I think in general, as a whole, I think we experience more. We just aren't always paying attention because maybe life is moving around us and we're all at such a fast pace now.
Listen, this past week has kind of, speaking of that, Miranda, has, yes, I believe just like you that most of us hear things that are unexplained if you think about it on a daily
Mhm.
basis, or not a day, but you know what I'm talking. Oh, very often,
Yeah.
but you dismiss it as a sound, people down the street, something outside. I've been experiencing some weird stuff this past week, like in the middle of the night, that's been waking me up. There's sounds, and they're
Mhm.
not normal sounds that should be there. But I'll turn over because you're just waking up. It's like 3 in the morning. I'm like, okay, there's nothing there. You turn over, you dismiss it. It's like it's nothing. So it's weird that you say that because yes, this past week for some reason some things have been escalating and I'm like going, but it's in the middle of the night, not during the day. Again, most
Yep.
people don't really pay that much attention in the day because of everybody everyday life. Like anything could make a noise.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when the pandemic hit and more people were working from home, there was a huge uptick
Oh
in
yeah.
reports of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but one of the primary reasons I believe for that is because people were home. People were more idle than what they have been in the past, so they're
Yeah.
just noticing more.
Exactly. Yes, yes. BC's beer reviews. What's going on? Cheers. Cheers to you. I think I don't know if I said Sick Pop, Phil Jones, Matt Maddox. I think I said you. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. Was going to ask that, Miranda Connie says. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss any questions, and then we'll get straight to the clips. I love how they talk to themselves a lot of the time. And I'm like, okay, they're all friends in the chat. It's so nice. You guys are so great. Okay,
You
so
have a great
anyway,
audience there. They're
oh,
just I
thank you.
love your chat room because they ask some really great questions.
Yeah, they're awesome. Listen, love y'all. Anyways, so yes, so we can get into some of this stuff. Boy, I mean, let's get to the clips first, and then we can talk
Mhm.
about some of the other things.
Sure.
Uh, just to get people excited. Here we go, you guys, some clips. Um, let's see. The first clip is going to be Daddy Octagon Hall. It's a short clip, but you
Yes.
tell me about it, and then I'll play it.
Yes, so Octagon Hall is a favorite location of mine to investigate. I've been going there for probably the last 10 years, and this is located in Franklin, Kentucky. It is one of the few octagon hall or octagon shaped homes. I mean, there's even fewer brick octagon homes. And this house was very instrumental during the Civil War. The owners of the house, the Caldwell family, they were Southern sympathizers, and there was also several major battles of the Civil War that took place around the Bowling Green, Kentucky area. So this house actually was overtaken by the Union, and there were thousands of troops that were there on the property. So this house has activity ranging from Civil War activity to different things that happened with the family. The dad, the owner, he was a Mason. He also lost his daughter at a very young age. The room that this clip was taken from was in Mary Elizabeth's room. Mary Elizabeth died at a fairly young age. She ended up getting burned in the fireplace, and
Mm.
she suffered from those burns, and I think about 8 days later, she ended up passing away. It is very common to get children EVPs there, and this clip, it was just myself and my videographer that night, and so we were sitting there, and I was trying to interact with Mary Elizabeth. I was actually playing with a book, and, it was an audio book, and so whenever I pushed the button, it kinda freaked us out, but or freaked my videographer out, but it did actually elicit a response.
Wow. Okay. My God. 8 days of being burned. Listen, how terrible is that? Uh,
Yeah.
And the Civil War thing, and I'll play the clip in a second. One of the worst things in the country, historical wise, to have happened. I mean, so many people died in this country
Yeah.
that it's no wonder that there's so many paranormal experiences or EVPs and like residual hauntings and stuff like that dealing with the Civil War, because there's so much pain and suffering during that period of time. I've talked about it before. Speaking of history, why would two men, two women, two kids, two whoever, north, south, why would they stand in front of each other, both like this, knowing that, you know what, we're both going to kill each other, because
Yeah.
that's probably the chances are we're just going to shoot each other, right? It's
Mhm.
just so unbelievable that humans would do that, even in a battle, right, Miranda? I mean, it's just so
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Anyway, yeah. Okay, so let's play the clip. Here we go, you guys.
I'm sorry. Tell me before you do that.
Oh, I'm playing it.
Scared the crap. I'm sorry. Tell me before you do that.
Ah, that's scary. Listen, and
yeah.
it's just a little child saying daddy, but when the child's not there and not living,
Mhm.
it's gonna be scary, you know what I mean? But
It is,
wow.
and we were the only 2 people there in the house and on the entire property, and that was actually just one of a couple different, EVPs that I got that night from what we believe was a little girl. I mean, there were no children on the property, and that's one of the things that I love about some of these EVPs. You know, I try to go in and I try to account for everything that I can, whether it be light pollution, noise pollution, how close railroad tracks are, all of the different, elements that you can try to account for. And of course, being no children on the property, we even actually got a couple male EVPs there.
Okay.
Octagon Hall is a great place for certain EVPs or certain types of EVPs and disembodied voices.
Yeah.
And that place seems to never disappoint when I go there.
Have you ever, and Matt Maddox says he's out of here. I guess maybe just too creepy for you, Matt. Come
Children are
on.
always creepy.
Come on, though. You're a horror fan. Come on. Night Fright Talk Show. What's going on? And it's a question that we ask over and over and over.
Mhm.
Why children? Why are you getting a voice of a child? Uh, what do you think that was more of an intelligent EVP or
Uh
a residual? I mean, was it just coincidence you were playing a kid book?
It's hard to say, I was in the child's room, and so in that particular room, I have gotten several children's voices. Some I do believe to be residual, just because of the nature of the room that you're in. It's kind of hard to say because there were no men there. So for her to
Right.
call out daddy, maybe she was calling for her daddy
Yeah.
because I was in there playing. Now, I have investigated there with other males, and there was a particular male that did seem to elicit a lot of activity that, she really felt bonded, I guess, with him. So,
Hmm.
whether it was a residual calling for her daddy or whether it was intelligent because it's like, "Hey, there's some women there in the room," it's kinda hard to say.
Yeah, no, and I can go on a tangent here if I
Mhm,
really wanted to about the whole, because there's been a lot of things going over in my mind when it comes to residual hauntings and what they say is so-called intelligent hauntings,
mhm,
because there is this, the soul, the energy, the spirit that leaves and does whatever it does when it passes on.
mhm,
But there's an overall energy or aura that is part of the body and part of your soul too.
Mhm.
And I'm almost wondering, with so many of these children's voices that we hear in EVPs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
is it that the child hasn't crossed over, or has the child crossed over and there's just a little bit of energy left, whether it's the soul, the aura, the energy, which still
Mhm.
has some of that intelligence behind it. If you understand what I'm saying, things
I
we don't
do.
even know at this point, in our history,
I
that
I I
is,
do believe that.
yeah, that makes it
Mhm.
possible for it to give intelligent responses. But technically, the child has passed on, the soul is gone.
Yeah.
This is just, yeah, you get what I'm saying, right?
I don't believe because I feel like it would be I don't believe in child spirits being stuck, which some people will think.
Yeah,
Just me personally, I don't believe that because I do think that it is a very sad existence to think, "Oh, this person died here, they're stuck here forever," you know?
right.
I'm with you. I believe that it's rather a deposit of energy, and I believe that the soul and the spirit are 2 different things.
Yes.
And sometimes with intelligent, I do believe that, the spirit wherever we are whenever we pass, whether it be what you believe, heaven or, another realm, universe, I do believe that sometimes they do have the ability to travel and be able
Mhm.
to communicate from somewhere else. But then I also do believe that, there are deposits of energy, and that's
Yeah.
how that some spirits can be in multiple places and even multiple ages because people have experienced some spirits in the childlike form and the same spirit in another well maybe they didn't pass there but maybe they were so connected to something within that room that a part of that energy from that time is still left there. My
Yep.
theories on it tend to change the more I do because so many different things happen, and I feel like I'm always learning, but
Right. Yeah.
for me, I just really feel as though they're not necessarily stuck.
Right, right. And again, always evolving, always changing, philosophies, theories.
Mhm,
That's just something that's natural. I mean, until we actually figure out what's going on, and that seems to be the most plausible thing in my mind at the moment
mhm,
because uh, it just makes the most sense to me. Listen, this was said by scientists decades ago that there will be a point in time, and there was, listen, we can go down the road of theories, and that's a bunch of hogwash or whatever, but these scientists said through some kind of theoretical math and all that other stuff
mhm,
that they believe that every single object is imprinted with energy, whether it be an old table,
mhm.
bricks that make up the house, or a stone that is outside. Everything will absorb, almost like a picture.
Yeah.
You get a snapshot, and listen, it's kind of the theory that comes along with the crystal balls and stuff like that too. Um, so maybe down the road, all of these things can be extracted somehow. But anyways,
Mhm.
listen, we're going down some philosophical path that we're
Well,
probably ready to
yeah.
talk about. But
Well, just to kind of expand on that briefly before we get in, people ask that question of me a lot, especially when it comes to jails, because, being a co-owner of a jail, people say, okay, well, some theories are that these spirits stay where they're happiest. Some say, they're trapped. Well, if you look at a jail, our jail in particular, it's 100% sandstone and sandstone is full of quartz. So it's a very good conductor. You're essentially inside of a conductor. You have all of these iron bars that are in there, which is also a conductor of energy. And with all of these inmates who were inside of this jail day in, day out, each one of their sentences had an experience or each one of their times in that jail. And so, why would, some of that not be absorbed into the structure around and us be picking up some of that? that part
Yeah.
of, because some of these people were in there. We have stuff when it comes to sheriffs and jailers and stuff that either a few of them did pass away there, a few of
Yeah.
them did not pass there, but spent the majority of their lives working there, so why not? It makes sense what those, people who are in physics and other scientists say when it comes to that.
Exactly. No, well said. Dave Plouffe says, we had a ghost at the Old Mate Company building in Los Angeles where it was a child crying, looking for its mother. A company I was working for used the building for storage. Lots of crying children. Listen, there's
Yeah.
one. Um, oh, I forget the haunted house now. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next question. I get a very important text while we're doing an interview, and I'm like, going, I'm thrown off now. What I shouldn't be looking at all. But um, ay. So yeah, let's go to the next. Where are we? We are at Help Me, EVP at the
Yes.
funeral home. So
Okay, so I sent a couple EVPs from a funeral home that I did. I was actually the very first person to investigate, or the very first team outside of the team that co-owned this location. It's a, funeral home in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. And so on this particular night, I had ridden down, and it was just myself and my videographer, Josh. And we were actually sleeping and spending the night there in the funeral home. At this particular point of the investigation, I actually brought a dress, and I was dressed up in that dress, and I was conducting a mock funeral where we were playing some hymns, and we were actually in the main chapel whenever this was captured. So we had a few different audible responses, as well as some of our tools were being set off.
yeah, it's always good to kind of recreate experiences or
Mhm.
time periods when it comes to certain EVPs that people get at these places, right?
Mhm.
It does help. So here we go. Here's the EVP.
Yeah. I mean, what we could do.
You got something you would like to say? You must be family. That's pretty crazy. Hello?
And I do like to play them twice. So here we go. Listen again, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, what we could do.
You got something you would like to say? You must be family. That's pretty crazy. Hello?
Okay. So yeah,
So
at a funeral home.
yeah, so
The,
we actually heard that in the moment, as a
you did hear
disembodied
it.
voice, and we were hearing the knocking and everything in the moment, as well as the REM pod going off. To me, this is another good example of what we were just talking about. When it's a funeral home, then it's like, nobody's died there, nobody's passed. But when you think of all the emotion that has passed through this funeral home over
Yeah.
the years that it was in operation. You know, you can, I mean, that's sometimes that's the last time groups of people will see each other. Sometimes it's the first they've seen each other in a long time. You know, so to me, it's one of those things that this is a good example of how you can have a location that doesn't have anyone passing away in it, but just strong emotional attraction in that in the location.
Oh, definitely. Funeral homes. I mean, come on. Travis DeLuca, hello. Blob City, hello. Sending love to everyone, says Travis. Thank you. Thank you. JLR, hugs to you. What's going on? Good to see you. What got me, you said funeral homes,
Hmm.
everyone is usually dead.
Hmm.
Um, rest in peace. But
Hmm.
you get an EVP that says, help me.
Yeah.
Why help me? Could somebody have had a closed casket? And listen, it scares to death out of me of somebody waking up in a casket. And that's why I will be burned. But nevertheless, I'm not a witch, but I'm going to be burned. And I told my children, you're putting me up on your mantle. They said, what? Anyway, I know, pretty
Yeah,
morbid, but listen.
it's it's hard to say. I mean, that's actually a common EVP that I have gotten at different places is help me. Also get out. That's a common one that, we get at different places. Doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that the spirit, wants you out there or doesn't want to talk to you. Or I mean, or that they're negative. They just may not want to talk to you, in
Yeah,
that
could be
moment.
frustrated, you know.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Again, that will kind of go away. Listen, I'm not saying that there aren't spirits who are here and need to
Mhm,
cross over.
mhm.
Uh, Earlier, I was just explaining
Sure.
maybe a different hypothesis of the whole hearing children kind of thing, which,
Eh,
is the
yeah,
scariest part of all this.
it's a touchy thing. I've found, when it comes to children in EVPs and stuff, that is a touchy subject whenever you're putting those episodes out because people instantly want you to go and help them or cross them over. And
Right.
that's one, I don't cross spirits over. That's not what I do. I do the research. If there's somebody that we need to call in someone because there is an issue, there are other people I call in for that. That is
Your boots on the
above
ground.
my ability.
Yes.
Yes, and so, but, who's to say that this person saying, "Help me," maybe, it was somebody trying to get attention because clearly it's really cool whenever you can get an EVP and the tools going off at the same time to kinda corroborate each other. So we were hearing the knocking, the REM pod goes off, and we got the disembodied voice. Who's to say that this person wasn't wanting our attention
Yeah.
and help me was their, was their response.
Yeah, I think help me is just it's a scary word to use when
It
you're
is.
investigating supposedly the dead or spirits or anything like that or
Mhm.
paranormal activity. It's you hear help me, you think, that's scary, and then your mind just goes in a million different directions on like why? Why is it asking for
Yeah.
help? When like you, it could just be saying it, you know?
Mhm.
Um,
And we
you know,
did go in to the episode a little further when you watch it. We went into asking questions about, who needs help, what kind of help do you need. We went in to try to expand on that. Thankfully, we heard that EVP in the moment.
good.
It's when you don't hear the disembodied, or when it's not a disembodied voice and it's just an EVP that you don't hear till afterwards. You can't really continue that line of questioning to try to get answers to who you're having a conversation with.
Yeah, no. And again, everybody should know that Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations uh, website is in the description box. Check it out. She's got, and the YouTube channel. You can see all of the episodes that she's talking about where she gets these clips out of that are just a small segment of the entire show. So you definitely go watch them. They're very, you got to go see it. Question, Casper McDonald, how do you cope with being afraid when you hear EVP? I don't think Miranda's afraid, so there you go. But
Typically, no. I mean, I've been startled. I've been startled by different things when I'm there, but, I go into it with this is what I'm looking for,
yeah.
and so when I hear the stuff, I do get a little startled sometimes, but, I definitely don't run, and I don't like to really move too fast when I hear something because I feel like that could stir up dust, stir up false positives and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I tend to get more of a excited adrenaline rush when that happens.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. She's not scared. And the last clip of the night again will show that, I guess, to some
Mhm.
point, even though I won't say nothing about it. Edward, I do have to bring it. Dad already been done. Mom said you better cremate for me or I'll come back and haunt you. Yeah. Yeah. No, I've had a couple family members who said yes. They were that diehard that they said you better cremate me because they're just scared of because it's happened. Listen, my grandfather was he did autopsies when he was in the service during World War II,
Mhm.
and he did autopsies on bodies. And he said you do not know how many times the body on the slab would move because rigor mortis would sometimes kick in late, and the muscles would. He said he quit his job after the body sat up on the table. He said, "There, no more of this. I'm gone," and he just took off. And I'm like, "Oh my god, yeah." Oh, he had some stories, I tell you. Let's see. We'll get to the next clip in a second. Question: how long have you been doing this? 15 years, I think Miranda said, right?
Yes, I've been investigating the paranormal for just under 15. I've been doing ghost biker explorations for 6 years now.
Okay, cool. And Edward does have, this is kind of a question. I bet certain things will get you. So listen, something's got to scare you, Miranda. Like, what is the scariest thing that you can even think of that might happen in an investigation, or maybe did? I don't know. That really did frighten you to the core. If you say
Well,
nothing, that's okay. But
no, one of the clips that I'm actually that it's that's a good segue. One of the clips that, I
okay,
did send to you, uh, that was probably one of the scariest times, and that was at the Sunset Hill House. I was getting more aggressive responses.
got
I ended up having the floor physically start shaking beneath me, with
oh
all of the tools going off, which I can tell you that when we get to that clip, but probably the thing that actually scares and creeps me out the most is the missing 411 phenomena or the, missing in national parks. I don't know why, but the disappearances without a trace,
yeah,
absolutely love to sit and listen and dive into those stories, but for
yeah.
some reason, that will if I listen to enough of those will keep me up at night.
And see, but a lot of people are putting the missing 411 and all that into kind of the paranormal kind of thing.
Some do, yeah, and
But
if
I
you
think of
classify yeah, I was gonna say if you classify everything under paranormal, or, high strangeness with when it comes to, some people think it's UFO related, some think it's cryptid, some think it's
yeah,
paranormal. I am just absolutely fascinated about especially down here in East Tennessee, we're right in the middle of one of the clusters,
yeah.
and I tell you what, every time I do a live stream and somebody is talking about that, my live stream will shut down. And so
Huh.
it's the most
Okay.
bizarre thing, but that is the thing that does it's so interesting, but that will actually keep me up at night.
Yeah, no, it's listen, it's a very interesting topic, and it is something that goes on in many parts of the world. And
Mhm.
again, whether paranormal, whether cryptids, whether UFOs come down and snatching people up because there's certain areas where they're alone. Let's get
Yeah.
them. But I tend to put it more towards true crime, and there's so many serial killers out there and people
Yes.
who stalk and snatch and uh, human trafficking. The
Yes.
number one scariest thing in the world. You
Mhm.
know, especially if you have a family. Um,
Mhm.
I think people are going missing all the time from that.
I
But
would believe it, yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to say because when you start hearing all these different stories and looking I love looking at the characteristics of
right,
and just when they do find these people, and some of the people they find alive and they're in a different side of the country and they've had
yeah,
haircuts and wearing new clothes and they don't remember. I mean, it's just a fascinating phenomena that
yeah,
I can sit there and just really go down a rabbit hole with.
no, right,
And
right,
when I start to thinking and I'm like you know, it's like this is clearly true crime related, but then
yeah.
something very odd will happen and it's like, okay, is this coincidence or is this related to the entire phenomenon? Are we dealing with something that we just completely don't understand? It's just I'm so fascinated by it.
Oh yeah, we listen, we can go there's a deep, deep rabbit hole that you can go down if you really want to. I mean, we can go back as far as MK Ultra and
Yeah.
uh, that's a strong, strong topic to tackle, which I've done in the past. And
Mhm.
I had a woman tell me her whole life story about being a slave and what she was
Wow.
put through and what she had to do, and missing time, you
Yes.
know, things
Mhm.
that she just because technically aliens were
Mhm.
involved and were
Mhm.
part of this, which is why some of the memory is wiped out, but yet the government was part of this, and I better stop right now. And so
Uh-huh.
so let's get to the next clip then. And thank you guys. You guys are all having a great conversation in the chat. I love that you guys are all enjoying the interview again with Miranda. So we're going to go
Yeah,
to
thank you all.
yes, and definitely go check her out and subscribe. Sunset Hill House, aggressive
Yes.
response. This is the one that scared you, and the floor is shaking. Listen, anytime floors shake,
Yeah. So the
uh,
Sunset Hill House, this was a location. A lot of the locations I highlight on Ghost Biker Explorations are the smaller, lesser known locations because it helps bring awareness and tourism, and it also helps to make people aware of these areas. This house, it started as an investigation of a local legend about a monk who had had his skin pulled from the bones or dissolved from the bones. And the doctor who did this used his skeleton in his doctor's office.
mhm,
So it started as an investigation of this local legend. And it just so happened that the people who owned this alleged tub, they had it in this home. Well, inside this home, I went, investigated it, I highlighted it in a couple episodes, and I was getting so much activity that I started getting a lot of activity inside the home. So, this home, which I named the Sunset Hill House, it covered 2 different seasons and it also covered, I think about 6 different episodes. And so, what I'm about to show here is part of the episode where we had just done a live investigation there. And so while we were doing the live, basically I was going to set up cameras to record all night long there at the location when nobody was there
okay.
and have equipment sitting out. And so basically everyone was kind of helping me tell where to set the equipment up, but it ended up being an hour and a half long live and we got some of the most interesting activity. So what this does is this has where I'm talking in the episode and then it flashes to what happened after the cameras cut off from the live.
Okay, and what this I'm sure this was one of your, episodes in one of your seasons. Where would
It
they
was.
find this at?
So they can find this particular one is season 2, episode 4, I believe. It's the one just before the finale.
Okay, and she's got them set up playlists. You can't miss it. Season
Yes.
1, season 2, season 3, 4, 5, and which we'll talk about in a few minutes too. But here we go with the clip. Here we go.
People were even contacting us and saying that they were experiencing things happening at their home while they were actually watching the live. It's been one of our most shared, watched, and viewed lives that we've ever done. And the activity started from the moment we were there until after we shut down the cameras. Something in the bathroom. All right, you've been putting on a show for us. You can talk into this thing. Just come up to the red light. We encourage you to do that. Would not want to live in this house. 42 degrees.
Bathroom.
Bathroom. Hello, you've been turning the flashlight on and off. Yeah, thank you. Flashlight turned on. Right when I said it. I'm smelling a weird smell up here. Plus, it is the bathroom. Is that you?
I've stepped away from it, still doing it.
Stinks in here. Flashlight is on too.
Oh my gosh, Miranda.
Down. Oh, if I don't sit down, I'm gonna fall down.
Okay, make it stop, please. Huh? Yes, we do.
Oh my God. First of all, I am going to play it again. And I like to play it again just because you know what's happened now. You can kind of zone in a little bit more on all that. But listen, the whole time, Miranda, I'm going, oh my God. And I'm freaking out as I'm watching this. I'm going, Miranda, because you couldn't hear it. But we'll talk about it afterwards.
Well, and it was odd too because it was a very intense live,
Yeah.
and it always seemed like as I was trying to go off the live and trying to leave the house, there was always something to try to distract me.
Yeah.
And we noticed that after the fact. So, but we did not hear all of this as far as the voices in the moment
Right.
on this
Oh
one.
my God. Okay, so I'm going to play it again, but the REM pod not going off. I just figured the spirit's on the toilet and doesn't want to get off. I mean, I don't know. But anyways, hey, horror junkie for life. Good to see you. And here we go. Replay.
People were even contacting us and saying that they were experiencing things happening at their home while they were actually watching the live. It's been one of our most shared, watched, and viewed lives that we've ever done. And the activity started from the moment we were there until after we shut down the cameras. Something in the bathroom. All right, you've been putting on a show for us. You can talk into this thing. Just come up to the red light. We encourage you to do that. Would not want to live in this house. 42 degrees.
Bathroom.
Bathroom. Hello, you've been turning the flashlight on and off. Yeah, thank you. Flashlight turned on. Right when I said it. I'm smelling a weird smell up here. Plus, it is the bathroom. Is that you?
I've stepped away from it, still doing it.
Stinks in here. Flashlight is on too.
Oh my gosh, Miranda.
Down. Oh, if I don't
No, sit down. I'm gonna fall down.
Okay, make it stop, please. Huh? Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple questions I have. Like when you
Mhm,
were in that room, that REM pod just going, going, going. Did you
mhm.
feel anything in that bathroom when you were in there?
Yeah, I actually started feeling really dizzy,
Okay.
and, there was just this incredible, just disgusting smell,
Mm,
that showed up just as we went in there into the bathroom, and so no one had lived in this house for about 12 years, and, if you go back and watch all the episodes, you'll see, and actually, my videographer, Josh, and I are actually working on a full documentary about this house,
okay.
that we hope to release here in 2023. But what was crazy about that is so just after I was in the process of setting up those cameras,
Mhm,
and so after I finished plugging in that camera and we stepped out in there, I had pre-recorded questions from the original homeowner, and I also had pre-recorded questions that I had on a loop that, people had sent in that I recorded myself asking, and then we just left equipment up to record all night long to see if anything happened with the pre-recorded questions, and as
mhm.
soon as I started the question from the homeowner, that's when the floor started shaking. Um, and so it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. So as
Wow.
soon as we were done, so it was at that point we knew it was time to go. So we left the house and we were standing outside doing a prayer of protection before we left and really kind of closing everything out. And I'll never forget looking up and I could see because there were no blinds on the windows. And so I could actually see the tools in the basement, the lights going off, the tools on the second floor flashing, and then also the one there because it was a split level house. I could see all of the lights flashing from our tools. And so we did capture that on the static cameras that we had set up. Um, and I believe it was from that homeowner's voice that was playing on that recorder asking specific questions. She hadn't been in the home. She's an elderly woman, and she hadn't been in the home for probably 5 or 6 years. Basically, they were using it as storage, and,
Hmm.
they had that tub and had several things in there, so they allowed us, once we started getting activity, to go in there really as much as we wanted for about over a year's time.
And what brung you, well, first off, what device were those sounds recorded on? Was it the videographer, his, or
Both, both. They
oh,
were recorded on I always wear a, audio device on my arm, a static
mhm,
recorder, and then with every single camera I set up, I always set a recorder with them. So that audio was actually captured not just on the camera, but also on, the audio device that I had with me.
really? Okay, so,
Mhm.
I mean, that's wow. Okay, 2
Yeah.
different devices, kind of rare, but not really, but, what was going on in the house that brought you there to begin with? Um,
I was brought there because, I was investigating the local legend of, the monk who had perished in a, train wreck accident.
okay.
So I ended up investigating the train wreck site, and then also that family had purchased the tub that the monk's body had, been that the doctor had used to dissolve the skin from the monk's body. There was a tub in that home. It was a clawfoot tub from the late 1800s
Alright.
that, that family had.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So
Okay,
that's
yeah, I
what
mean,
brought me there. Now, they were having activity from the tub, but
yeah,
come to find out through the investigating process, they were having a lot of activity in their home.
okay.
And
Yeah,
that's why
no,
that turned into a full case study.
and, yeah, I mean, not to get in, well, whatever you wanna say, do you have any idea who that voice is, throughout your investigation? Do you need to investigate more?
We found that there were 5 spirits inside that home,
Okay.
And,
Wow.
yeah. And so 3 of them we believe were pretty benign and spirits who were attached to some elements there at the home, but were being oppressed by 2 darker entities.
Yeah.
One very dark entity that was in that home, and it ended up, the season ended up wrapping up because the homeowner was wanting to remodel the home. After we had
Okay.
captured all this evidence in there, they were gonna remodel the home, and so she asked if we could clear it. I said that wasn't something that I did, but I could reach out to someone. So we ended up working with a demonologist, and he let us ended up filming the process. Now I
Yeah.
had to be careful about how it was edited and showed because we didn't want to show the process, but he let us put up tools and we actually captured some interesting EVPs and disembodied voices. We even had the house catch on fire, the floor when we were doing the exorcism there at the home. And so we captured that and was able to show it there on video. Again, it
The
was unlike
floor
anything
caught
I've
on fire. The floor caught on fire
It did. It did.
out
The,
of the clear blue.
no, so the demonologist was lighting one of the, blessed candles,
Gotcha.
and so as he lit it, we were standing there praying, and all of a sudden there was this spark. I mean, it was clearly like something out of a movie. There was the candle popped,
Mhm.
and it's a candle that's not supposed to go out. It pops, and we're standing there praying. And after we finish praying, we start to smell this smell. And the mattress that was sitting there in the living room had caught on fire. So we got the fire put out. We went back, continued praying, and after a short period of time, all of a sudden the floor starts smoking.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, for a second there, spontaneous fire. I
No.
was gonna go, "Call the movie producers. We need to
No,
get."
but it was still actually something that was pretty mind-blowing,
Right.
according to the, guy that was performing the, exorcism rites there,
Yeah.
or the minor rite of exorcism.
Nice, okay, and so,
Mhm.
getting back to the EVP and the video clip that we just
Yes.
showed, the people were discussing the evil has a smell. Um, talk about that a little bit because yes, a lot of times when you talk about demons or entities that are very, very evil, whatever the case may be, you can tell me what you think may
Mhm.
cause the strong smell, but sometimes you get this kind of death smell is all you can say. I don't know
Rotting
what you
meat,
would.
just
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
You know, negative and demonic hauntings, and I use those 2 words, those are not interchangeable.
Right,
A demonic haunting is definitely different than a negative or a more aggressive, darker entity.
right.
It is rarer than what TV might lead you to believe, but it does happen from time to time. And some of the things that had happened inside this home, um, are things that could potentially open up to a darker entity. Whenever I ended up passing the case on, because again, I believe that there were 5 spirits that were there. When I ended up passing this on to the demonologist, he did a lot of review of the case, and he determined that there was at least one possible demonic entity in this home. I'm not very quick to use that term. I will say it was dark because, again, we were going in and out of this house for about a year and a half. And you know me, I like to sleep in some of these locations. And I was to the point I wanted to sleep there and, see what the activity was like. But
Yeah.
something always came up every time I was going to sleep there. And so, what's interesting about this location is it really became an obsession for me because to have the opportunity to go in there, I became obsessed with who is this that's saying I'm going to die? Who are these 5 spirits that are in here? Why are these 3 oppressed by these other 2? I mean, we got to do some really interesting experiments there, everything to the point of we actually, because there was no power in this house.
Mhm.
Um, we ended up actually going in because all the cameras that I had there, they were all being powered by batteries, which you could see what I was hooking up.
Yeah.
But, I actually set off a smoke bomb down in the basement because one of the theories is if there's a portal, it reacts a certain way. And so sometimes I like to use unconventional methods. You can use like a fog machine to see how things kind of react. And so I couldn't use my fog machine because I had no power. So I lit off some smoke bombs and set a camera down there.
Hmm.
So really got to do a lot of different experiments, and it really became an obsession with why is this? Why are we getting these reactions in this house?
Yeah.
It was a very interesting case. It actually ended up changing the scope of Ghost Biker Explorations, and instead of the season highlighting some of these other locations, this location again, it took up about 6 episodes.
Wow. Yeah, no, listen, I've got to go back and watch those again. That's what a story. What a story. Um, yeah, so I mean, I guess that's really all I can say about that. Go look on her channel for more on that location for sure. Any plans to go back there soon?
So when we had the demonologist come in, what was very interesting about this one is that we were able to see this case from the beginning whenever we started experiencing stuff to through completion and got to be part of the process with the demonologist. Now, the house had a totally different feel, and you had to we had to have different signs of departure while we were doing the cleansing of the home. And it's crazy because we actually heard those signs of departure, and you could actually feel things lifting from the house there. Now, I have no intent to investigate it, even though as an investigator, it's so tempting because that house was, I mean, it had some of the most amazing activity I've ever experienced there. But
Mm.
I'm strong in my faith. I'm not one to tempt fate, and so he took care of it, and I don't want to do anything to cause, anything to
Right.
come back to the family that's there. Now I do keep in contact with the family. They have not had any issues out of the house, but because we have so much footage from all of
Yeah.
that, we are gonna do interviews and, like I said, release it as
Documentary.
a documentary. Mhm.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I think for something like that, you definitely should. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not missing your questions. I'm just, when you get deep into conversation, sometimes it's hard to get to them. But Horror Junkie for Life, thank you for the super chat, $10. When a ghost tells me to get out, I turn into Usain Bolt. I hear you. I hear you. The other questions, real quick. Let's see. Connie's got a question because there was another question I had about demons, but
Mhm.
what one place would you personally love to go to for an investigation and why?
There's so many, but
I
for
know.
me, when it comes to, what I do, I couple my investigations with motorcycle rides, and so I would absolutely love to, hit Route 66 on my motorcycle and highlight some of those different locations along Route 66, just documenting the ride, documenting some mini investigations because there's so many places along there. Either that or the Mississippi Blues Trail. A lot of stuff, leading from there. Natchez Trace. Include all of that into a motorcycle ride would be something I'd love to do.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm not sure what's going on there, Edward. See him saying rude. What's why hosts watch from their computers? Wait, let me do this in order. Noticed lots more recordings lately on other shows while hosts watch from their computers. Um, then they send the rest of the other crew to investigate. Don't quite understand what you mean, Edward, but good way to that. Sorry, Miranda. I'm just trying to
No, that's
figure out
fine.
the chat, what that's all about. But I listen. I think Edward's got a point there and is trying to say something about the shows that are out there right now. And I think that's the point. I don't think it means anything bad by it. Anyways, demons.
Mhm.
Again, you were talking about there is a possible demonic entity at this place too, sticking with it.
Mhm.
And boy, we got 20 minutes left. See, it goes by like that. And I want to get to the last clip because it's so good, so good. But what are your thoughts on demons? I mean, do you believe there are physical, not physical, but entities that were never human, that are basically demons that are doing the same type of haunts that, like you said, at this location?
I do, I'm a Christian. I do believe in demons. I believe
Okay.
in angels. I think it's rare, that it happens. It does happen. I don't like to. This was something that was different because I don't like to go actively seeking out demonic hauntings and that sort of thing. Um, I like to kind of go in for, look at the history and see if I can, validate the history, which was how this started, investigating this local legend. Sometimes you find more than what you bargained for.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, and I do believe that demons are entities that were never human. I do think it is a rare
What
thing.
type of non-humans? Have you delved deep enough to give us a thought on that?
I think they were essentially fallen angels or entities that were here long before we were.
Okay, okay.
And it's on a different it's a different kind of haunting. It's not necessarily something where someone goes into a location, it possesses your soul and moves on. Demons play the long game. It's one of those things. It's now that doesn't say that they can't hurt you. They can. Which is again why I don't really want to go in and seek those out.
Right.
Um, you know, for me, at this particular location, do I believe it was a demon? I don't know if I believe it was a demon. I definitely believe that it was a dark negative entity that was aggressive.
Okay.
Um, I know the demonologist, he did some things, and some of the responses that we got, especially while he was saying, the things that he was saying and the prayers and stuff, these entities, or at least one of them that was in there, was highly affected, and some of the responses that we were capturing, it blew his mind when we played them because he usually didn't have a recorder and have, investigation equipment there while he's doing this. So it was really a cool honor to be able to document this and be able to show it because when he came, I didn't even know that he was gonna allow us to film. And so,
Okay.
but we were very respectful of his practices and not showing it, but showing enough to show that there were some things that were going on, and highlighting it, in that episode. That would have been the episode where uh, where they performed this on the house. That was the last episode of season 2.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. And I think the question: did the homeowners have any issues after they remodeled? I think you said they're not really having any issues, right?
They're not. We do keep a close follow-up with the people because anytime you're doing residentials, which this was not a true residential,
Hmm.
anytime you're dealing with a residential, it's not a one and done type situation. It's, it is a case and it's something that you definitely have. It's long term. You've got to keep up. The family that was moving into the house was family of the homeowners, and they had seen, what we had done, and they were very aware, and so, the demonologist had essentially counseled them on, what they needed to do because they were at risk of, if they weren't careful, opening things back up, for something to affect them or to affect the home. And so, when I say that this house felt so different, this whole process that we did, it was 10 hours, and we didn't know how long it would be in the process. So it was 10 hours, and you can actually see from the start of the filming process to when we're done just how tired and how
Exhausted
affected
you
we
guys
all
are.
were. Yeah, and so the family has been very, very careful and very strict about things that they do, and that's why I don't personally go in there. I don't wanna be tempted to ask questions or
Right.
of any spirits in there. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying ask questions of the family, but of the, spirits, because I don't wanna do anything to undo what has been done, just out of my curiosity. I don't want
Right.
that to be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Closure's kind of been there, or so leave it be. Yes, I gotcha.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, Dave says you should have joined us last night when we were talking about Race with the Devil. I have movie discussions every Wednesday and Sunday, and last night we were talking about Race with the Devil, which, by the way, is a 5 out of 10. So listen, don't get so excited. It's not. The discussion was great and fun, but yeah, the movie. Listen, some people love the movie. I don't know if you know what movie I'm talking about, but
I'm not sure. The name sounds familiar, but
Peter
I'm not.
Fonda's in it. It's from the 70s. It's
Oh,
maybe you
okay.
don't know what it is, but it was more like a TV. Hey, everybody's talking about Route 66 too. That listen, you need to get on your bike
I need to
and
do that and document it.
yes, yes, lots of haunts along the way.
Yes.
Route 66. Um, okay, this is okay. Gotcha. Blob City. What's going on? Cheerio there, Stair Pike. Stair Pike, you got your name back. There you go. Okay, so before we round this out, because we're getting almost 20 after here,
Mhm.
the last clip I have to play. We played this, yes, a 5 out of 10, Edward. um, the last clip you played last time you were on the show, but it was
Mhm.
so great that I have to replay this one because it's self-explanatory. I'm going to play it.
Absolutely.
I guess tell us where you're at again, and then I'll play it.
Yes. So this is actually a piece of or a series of some of my best evidence that I've ever captured. So one of the things that I like to do, well, let me back up. With Ghost Biker Explorations, like I said, I travel around the country on my motorcycle to some of the most haunted and historic locations. And one of the things that I like to do when I go to certain places, if given the opportunity, if I'm investigating for a full weekend, I like to sleep there for a little bit just to see if the activity is different when I'm sleeping there, because it seems like I get different responses. This particular trip, I was at Brushy Mountain State Prison in Petros, Tennessee, and this location is known as the end of the line. It housed some of the worst, including James Earl Ray. And so this location, it's deep in the mountains here in East Tennessee, and I had slept. It was part of a weekend investigation. I was the only person other than the two ladies that had allowed me to be on the property. They were there in the office. I was sleeping in this area known as the Hole, and it's where the solitary confinement. And when I say it's dark and off to itself, I mean, you are literally going down into a hole. These inmates would be left in there for up to, 28 days with nothing,
Yeah.
no light. Um, and so whenever I slept here, I ended up sleeping for about 2 or 3.5 hours. And I got 3 minutes and 15 seconds of some of the best residual and as well as intelligent EVPs and disembodied voices that I truly have ever captured before.
Yeah, and the whole time you're watching this, just imagine she's knocked out,
Mhm.
she's sleeping, she doesn't hear what's going on. So that's the funny part of it all, but so cool. Okay.
It's pitch black, and essentially, at this point in time, I had already investigated for about 24 hours straight at
Yeah.
this point, and, it's just myself and my video camera as well as audio recorder.
Yeah, the meet and greet's over, and now they're tapping at her while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's the clip.
In the hole about 8:30 in the morning. Gonna sleep for a little bit.
Yeah, that's some amazing stuff. Listen, the laundry going alone, it's like
Yeah.
one of kind of an obscure thing you would even think of getting an EVP of. What
It
why? You know?
Well, so it's interesting. So I've got to say there's no power there at this location. Actually, the way the hole is set up, you have the hole which is kind of down in a hole in a building, and then up on the second floor, the laundry level is directly above, and they have some of the old washers and dryers in there, but there's
Mhm.
no power hooked up to them. And everyone knows that, that dryer's got that distinct sound.
Drum,
Um,
yeah.
and yeah, and so for me, it really took some research in listening to this, but that's been pretty common. So to me, that's a residual sound. And being the fact that this was at 8:30 in the morning when I laid down and slept for a few hours, um, you know, why wouldn't it work? Because or why wouldn't it be a residual thing? Because that's when they would have been doing the laundry there in the
Yeah.
morning. At that same funeral home that we talked about earlier, I ended up catching what sounded like an elevator, and they had an elevator on the second floor that would take the casket from up in the embalming area down to the chapel and the room and the showrooms down there. And so it's a pretty common thing, as well as, the ball bouncing. I believe that was residual as well.
Yeah, yeah. Prisoners always had that ball that they can hit against the wall, pass the
Mhm,
time away. But
mhm,
yeah, no, that was listen, I love that clip. I just think it's so cool. One quick question, then we'll
mhm.
wrap up the show and give all the information again. But Zardoz, Chris, our resident publisher, he's got quite the fantasy type books on Amazon now.
Ah,
New author, really good
very
stories.
cool. Congrats,
Um,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, it's well, what is it called again, Chris? Tell me real quick. But question: have you ever been
Mhm.
physically touched by a spirit?
I have on 2 different occasions. One was actually there at Brushy Mountain State Prison, and it was the second night, actually, after this, I had something it looked like something had smacked me on the neck, and it just started
Oh,
burning, and it was a handprint on the neck. The other time was, there at Revenant Acres, which I have some pretty wild EVPs from that location, and a very wild spirit box session from there. I actually had something touch me while I was sleeping, and it left a mark. And so, and I highlight that. I think that's in season 2 as well. It doesn't happen very often, but in those 2 locations, I did have something, yeah, something that physically touched me at that point.
gotcha. And that's his book. It's called Mixed Magic. I believe it's a trilogy of fantasy type stories. Very, very, very cool stuff.
Very
For
cool.
time, yeah, yeah. Kathy, hello. Listen, okay, Connie, we can go on with the questions, but we got to end it. But have you ever had a really oddball noise? Something you went, what was that? I mean, I don't know.
I have. For me,
Okay.
the ball when that happened was actually odd, because that's what I thought it sounded like, and
Yeah.
then it was like, after research and talking to some prison guards there, they were talking about how that was a common tool that was given to people. I'm trying to think of something offhand, that nothing sticks out, but I know I've had several very strange EVPs,
Yeah. I'm
that
not even going to
animals, that sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, oddball noises like, have you ever heard a ghost fart? I mean, something like
I'll have to, get
that.
back with me, Connie. I'll reach in deep, and I'll see if I've, got something
Right?
on there.
Yeah, or a spirit belch next to you, Al Capone's vault.
Actually, I can tell you a really odd EVP. A lot of the time, some of the stuff that happens whenever we're just kind of having casual conversation and taking a break. And
Okay.
I was taking a break with another friend that was there, and we were talking about food because we were eating, and we were talking about taco salads. And I caught this wild EVP. There were no men there, and this male voice says, "Taco." On the EVP. It was we did not hear it in the moment. We didn't hear it in the moment, but we did hear it when I was going back and listening. And
Oh, funny.
always, even if you're not actively investigating and asking questions, you'll get stuff sometimes while you're just kind of hanging out.
That's funny, crazy. Okay, so everybody looks like everybody's getting ready for the overnight stream. So with that said, make sure you check out the links below.
Yes.
GhostbikerExplorations.com and her YouTube channel, both pinned down the bottom. I think I'm going to have to get your Facebook page in there too, just in case. What is the Facebook group? Because that's where they can get all the updates again.
Yeah, it's just under Ghost Biker Explorations.
The Facebook page, that's the same name too?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And we didn't even touch on the farmhouse or nothing. Anything going on at the farmhouse real quick?
Only one time. I did
Mm.
investigate it and only got just a couple things. And when I set my dowsing rods down, I got a very clear EVP that said water. So it's interesting because that's what those are used for, is to find water.
Yeah, so intelligent hunting might be there or just one of those things. Anyways, yes, everybody's saying thank you for the interview. Always great to have
Yes.
you here.
And thank you for your questions.
Oh, yeah. Always good stuff, Miranda. Thank you for coming on again. And boy, what can I say? I mean, listen, there's down the road, I'm sure I'll talk to you again, but
Anytime. I'd always
sounds
love to go
good.
back.
Sounds good. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and talk to you very soon, okay?
Yes. Thank you all so much and have a great night.
Okay, bye-bye, Miranda.
Bye, Dino.
Okay, so there you go, Miranda. Please check out those links below. Yes, good stuff. If you're sick of ghost hunters and Zach Baggins and yeah, whatever. Check out Ghost Biker Explorations. Check out her YouTube channel. Good stuff. You get a kind of a short season, but they're all like a half hour each, and really good stuff. So yeah. And Phil Jones, hello, Overkill. I know I missed a few people in the chat tonight, but much love to each and every one of you. And I will see you tonight for a spooky overnight stream. So get ready for some ghosts and some spookiness. So and again, I'm surprising you with the shows. I don't care. Listen, you're going to get weeks sometimes where the timestamps aren't there, and you're just going to enjoy what comes up, like a radio station used to be back in the day. You know, I can't wait to what's coming up next. Ooh, what could it be? I'm so excited. So there you go. With that said, hit the thumbs up before you leave, and I will see you guys over there in the chat. Peace. I got to end the stream. I can't do that. Peace.